We've all seen Tanjiro wielding only his katana, but what if our boy had a massive spiked ball and chain? Just think about it. What if he learned stone breathing? Could he have saved Rengoku on the train if Tanjiro could attack from far away? And how scared would Muzan be if a kid showed up, literally just to crush him? Today we're talking about the craziest alternate universe. What if Tanjiro learns sun breathing? So let's imagine Gyomei finds Nezuko and Tanjiro in the forest. We're talking about the strongest Hashira of the era, but that won't change his opinion about demons in the slightest. He'd most likely kill Nezuko in an instant. But Tanjiro tells Gyomei that Nezuko is the only family he has left, and that she's clean, meaning she hasn't hurt anyone. This actually makes the giant Gyomei cry because he's a big softie, and it reminds him of how he used his bare hands to protect his own temple family back in the day. He tells Tanjiro that if he really wants to keep his sister safe, he's got to get strong. Like, scary strong. Tanjiro looks at Nezuko and realizes how close he came to losing her, so he decides right then and there to become Gyomei's student. Because Tanjiro is with the strongest Hashira, his introduction to the Demon Slayer Corps happens way earlier. While they test Nezuko to see if she's a threat, Tanjiro is busy surviving the most brutal training ever. We're talking 2 years of pure hell. Gyomei focuses on total concentration and raw physical power. By the time the first year is over, our boy isn't a skinny kid anymore. He's bulky, tall, and super fast. He's basically mini Gyomei. He even gets a special Nichirin blade early, and it turns black, which is super rare. But here's the coolest part. He doesn't just use a sword only. He carries 2 weapons, a katana and a massive set exactly like Gyomei's. That's a huge spike ball called a flail, and a sharp axe connected by a heavy chain. It only takes Tanjiro 6 months to master all the stone-breathing forms, because he's already so physically fit, but he doesn't stop there. He spends the rest of his time researching his family's dance, the Hinokami-Kagura. Since stone breathing doesn't really have flashy elements like water or fire, he uses his extra strength to practice the basics of sun breathing. He isn't a master yet, but he feels way less tired using it because his body is built like a tank. When he shows up for final selection, he towers over everyone. The other kids are looking at his huge muscles and that crazy spike chain weapon while wondering who this Sigma is. He uses his nose to track demons and just slaughters them. When he finds the big hand demon, the one that killed all of Urokudaki's students, he doesn't even break a sweat. He cuts off the demon's arms with his axe to save another kid, then gets bored and finishes it off with stone breathing. First form Serpentine Bipolar, and with just one hit, the demon is gone. He finishes the exam without a single scratch on him. And when Genya starts acting up and grabs the little girl, Tanjiro doesn't just stop him, he breaks his arm. Our boy isn't playing around in this timeline. After saying goodbye to Gyomei, Tanjiro and Nezuko head out. His first mission against the swamp demon is a joke. He obliterates it in seconds before it can even clone itself. Then he heads to Tokyo. He's walking around, gets some food, and suddenly his nose picks up Muzan's scent. In this version, Tanjiro is much more confident. He finds Muzan in the crowd and actually grabs him. Even though Muzan tries to distract him by turning a random human into a demon, Tanjiro stays focused and intense. Soon after, the Arrow and Temari demons find them at Tamayo's house. Nezuko tries to jump in, but Tanjiro just tells her to leave it to him. He uses stone breathing, 4th form volcanic rock rapid conquest, and literally slices the Temari demon in 2. Then he launches his axe at her while she's trying to heal and takes her head off. Now there's only the Arrow demon left, and he has no idea what's about to hit him. And within seconds, Tanjiro cuts it in half with his axe. The only fight that would truly change the events of this timeline forever is the battle against Rui, the 5th lower moon of Muzan Kibutsuji's army. Tanjiro is with Zenitsu and Inosuke. Usually Inosuke wants to fight Tanjiro all the time, but in this universe, Inosuke is actually kinda scared of him. You wouldn't mess with a smiling guy carrying a 50-pound wrecking ball either. When they run into spider demons, Tanjiro just swings his axe and totally obliterates their hiding spots. Now let's talk about his fight against Rui. He would normally be bested by his web attacks and forced to awaken the Hinokami-Kagura, but this time things are different. Rui uses his super strong webs to snap Tanjiro's sword, but you can't snap a giant ball of iron. So the real question is, if Tanjiro discovers Hinokami-Kagura here, will he be able to pull out sun breathing perfectly? Let's see. We know that this time he isn't controlling just fire. He's learned stone breathing. His sun breathing techniques evolves into molten lava-like abilities and allows him to create his own unique style, molten breathing. As Rui watches in disbelief, Tanjiro unveils his first technique, Phoenix Pillars, and instantly decapitates him. Now here's where everything changes. When the Dream Demon fuses with the Mugen Train, Tanjiro now has a long-range weapon and also 3 different kinds of breathing styles. He just stands in the middle of the train cars, swinging his chain like a blender to smash the demon apart and keep everyone safe. When they find the neck bone, he uses his molten breathing and drops the heavy flail on it and smashes it to pieces. Then Akaza shows up. We all cried during this fight, right? But Tanjiro isn't just lying there with a broken sword this time. His training gives him crazy stamina. Akaza goes for that final deadly punch on Rengoku. But right as he steps up, Tanjiro throws his iron flail from across the field. It smashes right into Akaza's elbow and totally shatters his arm and ruins the punch. Rengoku gets hurt, but guys, he lives, because Tanjiro had a heavy ranged weapon and he actually saved the Flame Hashira. Because Rengoku is still around, everyone is much happier, but Tanjiro chipped his iron spikes, so he visited the swordsmith village. His blacksmith is so mad that he somehow dented solid iron. When Hantengu's emotional clones attack, Tanjiro sweeps their legs with his chain. But when the big boss Hantengu shows himself with massive wooden dragons, pure strength isn't enough because the dragons heal too fast. This is when Tanjiro uses his molten breathing and fires burning stone balls with his flail. He basically makes a flaming meteor. He swings it through the dragons, burning them instantly so they can't heal, and then smashes the tiny real demon hiding on the ground. Finally, we reach Infinity Castle. Tanjiro is basically a Hashira-level monster now. He and Gyu tag team Akaza. Akaza's style relies on predicting a sword, but he can't predict a crazy bouncing chain. Tanjiro swings his red-hot flail and takes out half of Akaza's body in one hit, ending the fight way faster. Now let's talk about the last battle against Muzan, where Tanjiro is stronger than ever because he mastered sun breathing, learned stone breathing, and created his own molten breathing. When the battle moves to the surface and the sun begins to rise, Muzan becomes more desperate and violent. He attacks by whipping his long, sharp tentacles in every direction to kill the demon slayers before the sunlight can reach him. Tanjiro is standing at the front beside Gyomei, and the two fight in perfect harmony. Gyomei swings his chained axe and flail in wide arcs and smashes apart the tentacles, while Tanjiro uses stone breathing to keep his footing steady and absorb the shock of Muzan's powerful strikes. He then shifts into sun breathing to increase his speed and reaction time to dodge the faster attacks that slip past Gyomei's defense. He combines this with molten breathing, which makes his blade glow red and burn hot enough to slow Muzan's regeneration. As the fight continues, Tanjiro realizes that cutting Muzan's body again and again will never be enough because he heals instantly. He activates the molten breathing form that superheats the chain of his weapon until it glows bright red. With a burst of speed from sun breathing, he rushes forward and wraps the blazing chain around Muzan's arm. Muzan tries to slice through it, but the heated metal burns his flesh and refuses to break. Tanjiro shouts to Gyomei and he immediately understands the plan. He grips the other end of the chain and pulls with all his strength. Tanjiro uses stone breathing to anchor his body and keep from being dragged forward. Together they pull and force Muzan back across the ground. He thrashes and screams while his tentacles slam into the earth and the nearby buildings, but he cannot escape the crushing grip of the two strongest demon slayers. As the first rays of sunlight spread across the battlefield, Muzan realizes what's happening and panics. He tries to tear his own arm off to escape, but Muzan tightens the chain and uses another molten breathing technique to burn even deeper into Muzan's flesh. Gyomei pulls harder and drags Muzan fully into the sunlight. The moment the light touches Muzan's body, his skin begins to burn and crumble. He struggles for a few seconds while his body breaks apart just like it did when he once faced Yorichi long ago. Tanjiro and Gyomei hold on until Muzan's entire body turns to ash and scatters in the wind. With Muzan finally destroyed, the battle ends without the heavy losses of the original timeline. Tanjiro is exhausted but alive. He looks at the sunrise knowing that his training and his new breathing style allowed him to save countless lives and bring a true end to the reign of demons. He was honored for centuries as the divine blade that saved everyone from demons. And with this, our tale ends happily ever after. So how did you like this version? Would you like us to look at another fun idea? Like what if Tanjiro mastered all the thunder breathing forms? Or if Inosuke learned wind breathing?